Cours d'histoire, je suis pas les codes, je suis plus qu'un homme, je suis juste un code dans l'ordi d'un homme. Trop fait pour l'autre, je sors dans ma tombe, je joue sur les mots comme on joue sur ma peau. Le pas d'un genou remplace l'accord de cours. Je suis pas respiré, étouffé par la crimo, mes gènes sont noirs comme la mafia à Moscou. Je suis pas MLK, je suis pas Malcolm X. Je maîtrise les mots, je maîtrise pas la matrice. Y'a qu'un seul négro, les policiers sont 6, ils ont peur pour leur vie, moi j'ai peur pour mon fils. Grandir sans peur, c'est toujours le même disque. F1 nos vies, c'est toujours la même piste. Des centaines d'années, messages répétitifs. Des milliers d'insultes, si j'ai rébarbatif. Je connais des insultes grossières, je connais des blagues de merde. Ma belle peau noire te m'éveille, bronzage sur la peau dans tes rêves. Ça t'amuse quand un des miens crève. J'utilise mon art pour te taire, pour les dents rétrovisionnaires. Je laisserai ma marque sur cette terre, je laisserai ma marque sur cette terre. Je suis pour la paix comme je suis prêt pour la guerre. Mais qu'est-ce qu'il dit? Je parle pas que de femmes, si je dis bitch, nigga. Les faits pour la femme, je die rich, nigga. Gucci, Louis, lunettes, quartier. La malade donne fin, je mange le rap game. Mon zéo en me fume le quartier. Je sais pas ce qu'on fait pas pour le bar. Je sais que je dépense, fais mal à danse. T'inquiète dans l'équipe, y'a des comptes. On danse, on dépense, on compte pas sur la chance. On kiffe trop l'odeur de l'essence. Talent, pas de chance. Richesse, c'est une lance. Flow nouveau comme Renaissance. Je suis comme un crochet, c'est pas tant ma réponse. On kiffe trop l'odeur des dépenses.
Je vais leur rendre fou comme en psychiatrie. J'enchaîne les succès, ils enchaînent les humains. Ils les privent de leurs droits, même les plus basiques. Les drogues pour les rendre beaucoup plus dociles. Des âmes condamnées par des soi-disant sauveurs. Le pouvoir massacreur des plus fragiles. Libérer les fous, enfermer tous ces monstres. En blouse uniforme, en veste tout créé.
Tu me dis je t'aime, même mon cœur est fané. T'es devenu trop collante, une des raisons pourquoi je vais te larguer. Je suis juste chez un de mes gars, les meufs sont bonnes, on joue à touquer. Dans le fond je m'enfuis de toi, je me fous de cette relation bâclée. Les anges ou cette SMC me disent qu'on pourrait vivre ensemble. Mais quand je regarde Lucifer, putain qu'il te ressemble. Dans ma tête j'ai plein de questions mais j'ai déjà les réponses. Comme quand tu check mon phone tel et tu te demandes c'est qui cette blonde. Viens que je te dise un truc bébé, je veux pas te faire mal au cœur. Si tu cherches un homme à marier, tu devrais chercher ailleurs. Pas tant pour ta jalousie et tes nombreuses crises de pleurs. Je suis déjà passé à autre chose, j'ai déjà changé de fleur. La flamme brûlait, pourtant mon cœur est ignifuge. Et surtout mes gars qui sont déjà passés dessus. Pour toi je décrocherai pas la lune. À ce qui pour faire plaisir faut juste te cracher dessus. La malade dans ta touche, même si c'est pas ma pointure, je veux plus que tu m'importunes. Rose, 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 tu me dis je t'aime, même mon cœur est fané. T'es devenu trop collante, une des raisons pourquoi je vais te larguer. Je suis juste chez un de mes gars, les meufs sont bonnes, on joue à touquer. Dans le fond je m'enfuis de toi, je me fous de cette relation bâclée. La flamme, la flamme. Yeah, la malade dans ta touche, même si c'est pas ma pointure, yeah. Au paradis, ton âme me manque, dans tes conneries, je les garde en banque. Tu me fais la gueule, manque de confiance, donc relation finie ensemble. Laisse-moi le temps de descendre sur terre, puis on recommence. Ta voix qui crie tape sur les nerfs, sauf quand je suis bandé. Et quand je suis dans ma zone, je veux que tu me lâches. Je veux que tu me lâches, je veux que tu me lâches. T'es pas ma première go, je veux que tu me lâches. La flamme relève, pourtant mon cœur est ignifuge. Et surtout mes gars qui sont déjà passés dessus. Pour toi je décrocherai pas la lune. À ce qui pour faire plaisir faut juste te cracher dessus. La malade dans ta touche, même si c'est pas ma pointure, je veux plus que tu m'importunes. Rose, 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 tu me dis je t'aime, même mon cœur est fané. T'es devenu trop collante, une des raisons pourquoi je vais te larguer. Je suis juste chez un de mes gars, les meufs sont bonnes, on joue à touquer. Dans le fond je m'enfuis de toi, je me fous de cette relation bâclée.
Run that, my money run. Go when you go, make you go never. Run that, my money run. Go when you go, make you go never. I'll never forget when they doubted me. I wanted to shine, but they clouded me. They said I'm a dog, but they hounded me. They had the red nose, they was clowning me. Now they scouting me. My points on the board cause they count on me. Don't know if I'm feeling sick, but around you like sneeze. I think you my allergies. Make my city proud of me. I'm puffing no loud, I'm allowed to be. Nigga, I ball like the Champions League. Je fais que du sale like a salary. gallery. Translation, I stack me like salary. Pack you like float in the ring, take a jab at me. Actually, I'm more like a king with the crown on me. Naked in bed with the queen of spades hourly. How you a vegan but still moving cowardly? Nigga, you bitter, you salty, you sour. If you can throw dirt on my name, it empower me. My shit gon' grow like a flower, but now you can run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back. Foolish. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back. Foolish. Chop small, chop long time. Weak thoughts don't build strong minds. On the grind, that's all time. All time great, that's small time. The money I don't chop up. Wahala, no, they see the program. Hit the strip clubs in Europe and throw all my euros. I think I'm in Poland. I just moved Olo, you see me with no cam. Pero tengo unos locos que chocan. Mis enemigos no se equivocan. A las damas y niños no se tocan. I'm in the kitchen, I give you that fuego. Money to burn tea, okay, all my pesos. Do as I say, si lo say so, I say so. You go for broke, I'ma go for my payroll now. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back. Foolish. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back, come back. Run that, my money, run that. Go when you go, make you go, never come back. Foolish. Foolish.
So hot and beautiful, ain't got no weakness. Later on Krypton, over the Oscar. That's why I've been on, feel like a fast car. Dutchess and blockers, party on restaurants. Get your hands up, this shit ours. They wanna see me, they wanna be me. They cannot reach me. Been up, galaxy, alien goddess. No cap, alien goddess. That's right, alien goddess. Bow down, alien goddess. Alien goddess. No cap, alien goddess. That's right, alien goddess. Bow down, alien goddess.
Yo, chicken, yeah, you walk fast. That nice ass keeps swinging up your luxury bag. I'm right here. Time to take this number, girl, and chill free. Last seconds on the clock, I clutch free. I was sitting in my room and smoking on a spit. I mean, focus counting cash with the math, so I stay irate. 50 up the floor when the spot was a Beacon Street. Pouring out the goose for a boost. Splash on me.
Alien goddess. No cap, alien goddess. That's right, alien goddess. Bow down, alien goddess. Alien goddess. No cap, alien goddess. That's right, alien goddess. Bow down, alien goddess.
You know, how the light just attaches to you. a mystery. You know what I mean? Silk Prince one time, just to describe it so perfectly. Yo, got a fresh fade, ace of spades. Baby, want a stunner? Gotta take your breath away. Tell me what you wanna, girl. You look so good, shorty. Stunting like a model. You know the whole club's watching. Put it in a bottle. Heat wave, yeah, right above the engine. We in the mood, but we checking for the system. But when you call up, hello Mr. Mention. It's freaky shit, but we sticking to convention. I'm like a scientist, heavy on invention. That's the intention, hotter than a pyro. These motherfuckers getting off, they must be psycho. Silk Prince, I be check plus the dough. Got a fresh fade, ace of spades. Baby, want a stunner? Gotta take your breath away. Tell me what you wanna, girl. You look so good, shorty. Stunting like a model. You know the whole club's watching. Put it in a bottle. Yeah, the sun under your feet. I can't lie.
As times get tough, dreams get even tougher. We lose our vision to move forward. We must muster up enough courage to step blindly in the dark, enough to confidently walk at night through Montreal nor Park. And in life, no one waits for you. We take it day by day. Don't go begging for rent to succeed by paving your own damn way. That way, when you finally make it, no one can take that shit away. Don't be surprised. Fake ones only show up on your glory day. They say no sleep for the rich. While you're dreaming, I'm getting rich. They make it seem like big dream or a glitch, but I dream to manifest my shit. They say no sleep for the rich. While you're dreaming, I'm getting rich.
Hello, love warriors, and welcome to another episode of Bursting with Energy. Today we are on season 3, episode 3. So if you guys want to go back to the basics, go to season 1. So if you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Jess Flo. This is where we talk about how to increase energy in all areas of your life. Today I have a special guest, like you guys can see in the title. It's Bursting with Parenthood. So I have a doula that's going to join us today, and we're going to talk about pregnancy, post-pregnancy, and the other partner, what their process is in that whole pregnancy journey. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. So it's going to be a good discussion, guys. We're going to go right into it, and I'm going to start with your journey. How did you get to becoming a doula?
Okay, so what really initiated me into this journey was being pregnant with my first child. So I realized that I didn't know anything about birth, I did my
research,
my bachelor's in kinesiology. So I had like a good perspective and understanding of like physiology and like what actually happens during birth, but mentally it didn't really translate to what is going to actually happen, you know. So what I did after having a really bad experience in the medical system, I decided I wanted to do a home birth. And at the time I was in the US, so I did a home birth with a midwife, and it was really a great experience. And it really just pushed me to want to help other women have a great birth experience. I think that it made me a better person. It made me more confident in like my parenting. It made me a more confident woman, and like embracing like my feminine energy and like just like the power of being a woman, you know?
I love that.
Yeah, so, but then when I started talking to people around me, they didn't have that experience. A lot of people were saying that, you know, their birth was traumatic, it was a negative experience, and it made me so like sad because I felt like they were getting their experience stolen from them. So that's why I became a doula, and I wanted to help people go through pregnancy, birth, postpartum, like, you know, with confidence and like prepared. So that's what I do.
I love that because even when I was pregnant, there was a lot of people that kept saying about the negative aspect of pregnancy, but you have to keep your mental really strong, right? So it is good that you're helping women know, like, you know, there's another choice. It's not always traumatic. There's a different path that you can take. So I love that for you.
Yeah, thank you.
But how was the journey once you decided, okay, this is what I'm gonna do? Was it difficult establishing yourself as a doula?
I wouldn't say it was difficult. I mean, like everything, there's a lot of work, you know. It is like, you know, being self-employed. So yes, you do have to kind of like develop your business side. So I always tell, so I do doula trainings. So I train other doulas. So I always tell them, you know, like being a doula is such a feminine energy, like loving, nurturing, but you have to develop like the more masculine side of like business owning to kind of like be successful.
Yes.
So yeah, I did have to kind of, you know, focus on strategies and like what can I do to be seen, and yeah.
Oh, that's great, because you also have the feminine side, whereas, you know, the birthing, the doulaship. But if you want to be successful, that is we talked about that last season, guys, the masculine energy. So that's great. Is there anything else you want to add on your journey? How it made you? You said it turned you into a better person.
You know, if it comes up, I'll just talk about
it. Emphasize. Okay. So last season, Rachel was actually on the Clea show, and she talked about some of the hardships that women faced in Quebec. And I was actually really surprised because I didn't know. I thought it was more of a U.S. thing. I didn't know that it also happened here in Canada. So can you talk about some of the hardships that women face in the system here?
Like in general, like,
yes,
so
general.
Of course, you know, obstetrics is a very masculine domain.
Practitioner,
yeah, you know what I mean. It's like the modern obstetrics was developed, you know, by men, and they didn't really take in consideration like all the knowledge, because at the end of the day, like, you know, being a midwife and giving birth is just like the initial part of humanity. So women have been, you know, the ones making sure this process ensures like and goes well throughout like centuries and millennia. But in the last 100 years, you know, we kind of like shifted to more of a medical model, and in putting that in place, there's a lot of like, you know, men that took certain decisions that don't necessarily benefit women. There's a lot of like misogyny, and there's a lot of paternalism, like paternalistic energy, where like we know what's best for you and we need to just follow our instructions. So a lot of women that want to have, you know, that want to have a say in their care or decide things that are not like typical procedures, they can get like backlash, you know what I mean? Then for sure, I know you want to talk about immigrants and stuff like that. So depending if you have a status or not, it can also affect your care, just like financial wise.
Yes.
So when you
I looked into that recently, actually, and the financial is really crazy when you have actually Canadian healthcare versus when you don't.
Yeah, it's very different. It's very different. I mean, it's the same, you know. We don't see it. We don't see the money part because we have insurance. But at the end of the day, like, the government pays. It's not free. Like, it costs something, but the government is paying for it through the taxpayers' money. So if you don't have insurance, you're going to be treated a lot differently in the medical system, because they don't have a guarantee that they're going to get paid for taking care of you. Yeah. So, you know,
Okay, and that makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah.
Wow. There was something you said. You said being part of making decisions, part of that in that process, they kind of tell you what you're supposed to do, and that's actually why I personally picked a birthing house, because they actually tell you the whole process, and you have to make decisions in the whole process. Rather than if you go to the hospital, they tell you, okay, we're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and they don't really make allow you to make a choice. It's rather than this is how we do it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's not the best way, because a lot of people come out of that with trauma and negative, you know, feelings. Because at the end of the day, like, giving birth is such a beautiful and sacred experience. Like, it's your baby coming to the world, you know, and it means a lot to a woman, to a father, to a family. And I feel like we do need to like put back like the family and the woman at the center of the birth, and not like the procedures and what's best for, you know, just like the functioning of the system.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. I like that, how you said that. Okay, so you said there was a hype. Did you want to go more into the immigrants and how they can be ready to face those hardships?
Well, definitely you need to be prepared. Like, you need to have education. Everybody needs to have education.
Have you had to personally work with people that didn't have healthcare, or?
Yeah,
Yes?
yeah, definitely. So that's where I saw like the extent of what it's like. So, you know, I have one mother that I was with her, and she didn't have a partner. She didn't have a status, and you know, she was told like basically, you can't get the epidural. If you want an epidural, you need to put a deposit of $800. You know, the staff were not very like welcoming. They were making some comments like, do you think you can just come to Canada and give birth and it's free? You know, it was just icky, you know what I mean?
Stressful, a tense environment.
It was tense, yeah. And then they didn't really take care of her as much as other people, and they didn't also try to force procedures on her. And that also made me realize that, you know, when they do a lot of procedures on you, they get paid more. So as a person that has health insurance, you are going to get fed a lot of things that they're like, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, because they get paid for it.
Yeah.
And with this person, like, she didn't get the same treatment. Yeah, so it's
because they're not sure they're gonna get paid for those procedures.
Yeah, so they're just gonna let her do her thing, and she had a natural, normal vaginal birth, like, because there was no interruption. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like both sides. You know what I mean?
There's pros and cons, basically. That's crazy. Yeah. That's very interesting to know. And so the next question I have is going to play more in our second part, which is, as you guys know, story time for this season. But mindset. I realize mindset plays a big role in how your pregnancy is and even your postpartum. I know it doesn't always go, because we have pregnancy plans sometimes, you know, your birthing plan, and it doesn't always go like that. But at least the process of when you're actually pregnant, mindset plays a role in how your self-esteem, the cravings that you have, like the symptoms, the pregnancy symptoms that they say most women have, the nausea, the cravings, the just depression, and most of it is negative. But I feel like when you're more in the positive side, so like what I had told myself is that I'm gonna have a great pregnancy. I didn't have all those troubles as someone that would be thinking, oh my gosh, my body has changed so much, I don't feel comfortable. I felt like they felt it more intensely.
Mindset is definitely important in pregnancy and birth. There's a lot of natural questioning that comes when you're pregnant, and I just feel like people don't have a space or something set up for them to have answers to their questions. Sometimes you can't really like integrate what is actually happening, and it's like an energetic level, it's at a spiritual level, it's an emotional level, but we don't have those conversations. So as a doula, that's a lot of like what I do, is also talk about those things. So basically, like, what do you want to transfer to the next generation, things like that. Like, we have to talk about it. You're carrying the next generation, so these are like normal things that come through, but a lot of people kind of like don't have the space to talk about it. Another thing that I would say about mindset is that we don't embrace feminine energy a lot, because, you know, in the world that we live in, it's very much masculine energy. It's very much like doing, acting, you know, performing, being a boss, doing all of this. But when you're pregnant and you are giving birth, you really have to be in a state of like rest and accepting, like you're accepting everything that comes to you, and you're just like making it beautiful, right? So that's
transforming.
Transforming it, transmuting it into something better and more beautiful. But people don't really have practice on that, so sometimes it can be hard to be in that state, because you want to control everything.
I feel like nowadays the creation process has been told to us that it's forcing it, whereas it's really not. Even when we talk to plants, they grow when they're healthier when we're gentle with them, and we're in a position of just, you know, sitting back and allowing nature to take over. So I resonate with that. I like that. I'd like to go deeper into that, but also in story time, because I feel like you summed it up really beautifully. What is the partner's role? So I know a lot of people have friction in this part of the pregnancy part, because it's no longer, you're now in a different phase of your relationship, right? So what is the father's role when you're pregnant, and how can he support?
I think every family has to define their father's role. It's not the same for everybody, and I think that's one of the biggest point that people need to understand is like what you have to create together, what works for you. You know what I mean? Some people, like, I feel like 99% of people that I accompany as a doula, they have a very involved father, but it can look different, you know what I mean? So I think it's really like knowing yourself and then creating together like what you can do. Like some fathers are very active and they're like, you know, they're here filming the baby coming out. And then some fathers are like, you know what, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see anything. So I'm like, well, just look at her face when, you know, she's pushing, and just don't look down, you know. And it's okay either way. Like, I feel like we shouldn't be forcing people to be a certain way. So everybody's different. And then knowing and being honest with it, it's going to help you have more clarity and then be able to have a better experience. So for some families, I'm going to be the main caregiver during the birth, right? And then for others, like, you know, the dad is doing his thing, and that's the best thing. Like, if you guys are kissing and hugging, it's good, by the way. It makes the process go faster. That's true. You know, so it really depends on each person. And it's not for us to define that, but we can definitely, like, ask questions to help each family develop that in their own right.
Love that. By the way, the kissing and the hugging, it's because of the oxytocin, right?
Exactly, yes.
So the oxytocin helps you go into labor.
Oxytocin actually is the hormone responsible for contraction. So the more you have oxytocin, the more the labor goes, you know, faster, smoothly,
So make sure your partner is being supportive, giving you hugs and kisses. That's what she's saying.
Yes.
Tip number 1. That's cost-free. Love each other.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you. All right. What are some misconceptions about your client? You can take examples from your clients or just stuff that you hear in general that people ask you when it comes to postpartum depression. Because I heard a lot about postpartum depression. I actually didn't go through it, but a lot of people were expecting me to go through it. And so I didn't really know what to expect, but I felt like myself. So what are some misconceptions that have come around that?
I mean, there's different things that maybe some people confuse. After you give birth, you do have a lot of hormone drops. So you've been having, you know, hormones like being consistently like going up at a certain level during your pregnancy to sustain the pregnancy. And then once the baby is born, you know, a couple of days later, you get like this drastic drop. So for some people, it is called baby blues. So it can kind of like show up in like being sad without knowing why. You just start crying, but you don't know why. You just feel kind of like not yourself.
But sorry to interrupt, but wouldn't it be like, this is just a personal question, I really don't know, wouldn't it be that during the higher, like the increase of hormones, that like wouldn't the drop be taking you back to yourself, like prior to pregnancy?
Well, it doesn't work like that, right? Because basically you just think about, like, it takes 9 months to get to a certain point, right? So it doesn't just take one day to go back to normal. It takes about 18 months actually. So your hormones will drop because the placenta is kind of like one of the physiological processes that's keeping hormones up, right? So once the placenta is expulsed, after a while you're gonna see a drop in the hormones. And it takes a while to kind of like, you know, go back to a normal. And then, of course, you also exhausted a lot of your energy, your minerals, your reserves of vitamins to sustain life and to give it to your baby. So that's why in a lot of cultures, you know, we have the first 40 days. I know in Haiti, like, you know, you have the first 40 days where the mother is not supposed to do anything. She's just supposed to just breastfeed, and people take care of her, her family make her food, like people take care of her other children if she does have them. And that just makes it so much better in the recuperation stage instead of stretching it out on like years or months. But what I was saying before is that baby blues is not a depression, and it's not everybody that feels that. but it can show up. It usually clears up after like a couple of days or maybe a week. But depression is more like it's usually diagnosed after 6 weeks. And I'm not a psychologist. Like I'm just talking out of just information. But it's usually like diagnosed after 6 weeks, and it can last about up to a year after the birth. And it shows up in different ways. Like a lot of people report, not connecting with the baby, feeling like a bad mother, being hyper anxious is also one, just like not being yourself. And it does have, a hormonal component where, you have like an imbalanced hormones. So things that you can do to prevent that is just make sure you eat well. And in
tip number 2, eat
in my experience, that's the first thing that people neglect. And that's why, as a doula, I also prepare my parents to go through postpartum. And a lot of that has to do like during pregnancy, like you have to, pack up food, like freeze up some food, or like have a plan if you're going to cater or somebody's going to cook for you. Because when you're managing a newborn and you're adapting to like having somebody being 100% dependent on you, you don't have support from family, the first thing that goes out of the way is like eating well for yourself. You know what I mean? So that's very important.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that, especially on Occident, that we have to face because a lot of us are separated from our families. I actually was lucky that I have my mom to help me, but a lot of us don't have that family aspect to help us. So it's just you, your partner, and your baby, right? And so it's a lot more difficult because somebody has to work, right? And so then how are you going to feed yourself?
Exactly. That's really what it is. So that's one thing. Also, just taking some fresh air. It's very important. Like going out. And again, we're talking about hormones. So all of these things, they secrete hormones that are beneficial to your health, right? So you want to kind of like have those. Breastfeeding is also good because it releases a lot of oxytocin. Yeah, and
they told me breastfeeding also helps you with sleep because it makes you more like you recuperate better.
Yeah, definitely. Breastfeeding is just good for the baby and the mother because you do secrete hormones that help you go back to sleep. And actually, it's way easier to me to breastfeed than to wake up and make like bottles. Like you just take the baby's butt.
I think so like, too. That's actually going to be our final question before we go to story time. But I find it easier as well.
Yeah.
So misconception. Baby blues, and then that depression, it can be a lot of things, usually hormonal, not eating well, not getting enough fresh air. Those are typically what can
so these are things that you can do. You can kind of incorporate as soon as you're in postpartum to make sure that you prevent. So they're just things that if you do them, you have less risk of developing a postpartum depression. Yeah.
So what I'm getting from this, guys, is make sure you're taking really good care of yourself. Don't feel like anything is wrong, that you're a bad parent, that you're not doing your best. Just make sure you're eating well, make sure you're getting some fresh air, and make sure you're resting. If you can get some support or some help to kind of make that process easier, do that. And if you can't, Rachel's here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I see it as an investment in your well-being. I think a lot of people, we neglect ourselves, and then we're left with like the broken pieces, and it takes a way longer to recuperate, So if you don't have a support system, that's why, we are here as doulas. There's postpartum doulas, there's night doulas that are coming, during the night to help you with the baby. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of resources that you can have to help you go through motherhood journey.
I love it. So you guys don't need to be alone. Okay, so the final question was there's this debate. So I've been seeing this ever since I actually gave birth, this debate on Instagram, on TikTok, of formula versus breastfed. And they're kind of going at each other. And it doesn't matter which one you use. Like, you can pick your method. But have you seen this debate going on? That formula is easier. I personally I'm not going to get up in the middle of the night and make a bottle. That's just not going to happen. And I co-sleep as well. So I find it really easier to just take my baby, put her on the boob, and then, we go back to bed. But people are like, no, it's misconceptions about your boobs, I guess, and how the pain. But I know you also do allaitement training, right?
Yeah, so I'm not sure. So what is? I haven't seen what she said. So there's is it like a?
It's kind of like this thing that's trending that breastfed babies versus formula babies, and there's this whole thing that formula is better.
Is it formula is better?
That's what they're saying
no
nowadays.
way. Okay, so first of all, formula is not better. So it doesn't matter like what you pick. Like the facts are that there's breast milk is not comparable to anything else. That's just the normal food that the baby is supposed to get. It has all the human hormones in it that the baby needs to develop, the growth factors. Like there's none of that in the formula. First of all, there's enzyme, there's antibodies, there's anti-parasites, there's good bacteria for the baby's gut. So all of these things are things that you don't have in the actual formula, and people use formula for all kind of reasons. But still, like breast milk and formula, we can't compare both. Now, if we're talking about like what's easier, well, I personally feel like breast milk is easier. I think a lot of the misconceptions about that comes from the fact that people don't have the education and preparation to breastfeed.
I agree.
It's not easy at the beginning.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. The first 2-3 weeks, maybe it can be challenging.
Yes.
But if you have the right support, you are gonna make it through.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not supported. They don't have, medical staff that are competent in breastfeeding. A lot of the medical staff in the hospital don't have breastfeeding training and don't really understand how it works. So I would say the first thing the first mistake that people would do is to breastfeed the baby on a timely schedule. So that usually messes up a lot of breastfeeding journeys. Yeah,
because I have been seeing that on social media as well. I don't do it because I just feed her when she wants to get me fed. But I have been seeing that. Try to get it here at this time.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
No.
So you're supposed to just breastfeed when a baby wants to drink, whenever she wants to, and sometimes they don't want to breastfeed because they're hungry. They just want comfort. And that's part of being a human. Like, it's like sometimes, I have those discussions with parents and people are like, well, if she ate and, she took a bath and, like we changed her diaper, like she shouldn't be crying. And I'm like, so for you as a human being, if you ate and you went to the bathroom, you took a bath, and you slept, like, so your life is over? Like, you don't do anything else with your day? You don't want to talk to your wife? You don't want hugs? You don't want conversations? Like, it's a human person, you know? So they want the same thing as us. They want proximity. They want love. They want to feel connected to their community. So babies are humans. They're not like little boxes like check. So now you just sleep in a little basket forever, So that's one thing I think that people need to decolonize because it does come more from like the Western society. I get that. Makes sense.
At my birthing house, everybody there, like all the staff, actually had training in breastfeeding. And they incorporate it in the classes. They make us take 3 classes, and they incorporate it in that. So
exactly. So birthing centers are better with that. And then some hospitals have
staff
so the professionals of breastfeeding are lactation consultants, and they are the professionals of breastfeeding. They have like a 2-year training that's very extensive, and these are the professionals. A lot of nurses don't have breastfeeding training, and a lot of doctors don't know anything about breastfeeding. I'm letting you.
Okay, they're just there to give birth to your baby.
No, the mother's giving birth, but they're just there to kind of oversee. But they don't have training, so you guys have to find your information to people that actually know what they're talking about.
That makes sense. I love that. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna go in our part 2 of story of the discussion, and we're gonna kind of incorporate everything you said in the questions, but on a deeper level. So I'm gonna have Brice and Kinzo give their opinions as well, and then we're gonna end with Rachel actually giving her opinion and how she sees the situation as well.
Okay.
Are you guys ready? Yes? All right. Oh yeah, also guys, there's a giveaway for Mother's Day. So put in the comment section bursting with Parenthood, and then you get the chance to win doTERRA body wash.
Ooh.
All right, let us read our stories. I'm going to start with advice. We'll start with advice. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes. But it's not me first, right?
Oh no, yeah, them first. Okay. They're like the civilians giving us their opinions, and then it's gonna start a discussion, and we'll end it with. And feel free to let us know just your personal opinion too, and then your professional opinion.
Okay.
Let's give them a second. So once again, guys, put Bursting with Parenthood in the comment section, and you win the chance to win a doTERRA body wash. Oh, I did have one more question for you real quick before we go into that. I saw that you do Reiki. You're currently learning Reiki.
Yeah.
Have you incorporated that in your process? Because I know you spoke about energy and the spiritual side of things as well, and that's also things that I talk about with my clients.
Yeah.
Has it been able to transfer into your work?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always kind of worked in that way, but I definitely try to use you know, to unblock some energy for some people, or like to see, you know, where they feel they have a blockage. So yeah, I
So
definitely,
kind of
so release some blockages, maybe some different points or different chakras, like, yeah.
Because if you have blockages within your system, guys, it's a lot more difficult to make changes, right? And you're a lot more comfortable with yourself if you remove those blockages, because you can kind of accept it and be like, okay, I went through this. This is what blocked me. It's sabotaging me. Let me work on that. And I guess you help them move that around, right?
Right, exactly. So I always feel like I'm not the one doing it. Like the
the
way I see it is just like, you know, the
she's
person also,
assisting.
yeah, exactly. And the person, they're the only, and I think that's one of the big part of, you know, giving birth is that you're the one doing it. And you have to have that mindset.
Yes.
I think society kind of taught us that we're victims of birth, but we're actually like the heroes.
Yes.
And we are the ones like making a baby come through, and we're doing it with our energy, with our bodies, and not to see your body as your enemy.
Yes.
Like, you know, your body is your ally.
Yes.
And we are not like, don't think about everything as suffering. That's one thing that I deconstruct a lot about birth. Like sometimes we just associate it with suffering, which
But
is
it's
not.
yeah.
Exactly.
What they told me is that the pain is bringing you closer to your baby. It's not, you're not losing, don't lose yourself in the pain, because it's actually bringing you closer to that, to the end of things.
Right, exactly. To me, what helps is like, it's not pain, it's just like intensity, and it's actually your intensity. It's just like, you know, whatever you're feeling is like the power that resides within yourself. You can't just be scared of that. You have to embrace it. It is scary.
It is.
Because you're like, oh my God, this is coming out of me, but yeah, it is. So yeah, just embrace your power.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Embrace your power. Tip 3. All right. So are you guys ready? I'm pregnant and my boyfriend said if I have an abortion, we can still be together. But if I don't, that we don't have a future because he does not consent to having a child. But he will support the child and not be with me. What should I do? Luis's face. She's asking in general. She's not asking a professional or anything. So feel free to just share your opinion.
But what matters for her the most? The relationship or the baby?
We'll do both perspectives.
Yeah, for her, I would say if it's the baby, she should just keep the kid and, you know, back to the relationship. And at least he proposed that he would be there for the kid, but not for the relationship. On his side, I guess he doesn't want kids, so or maybe at that time
he doesn't.
Yeah. So
in the moment.
So yeah, him at least they offer options. At least there's like there's a discussion
that can be had.
But like she's already pregnant. So
that's
like
what's
that would be something that you will have as a conversation way before that. Like something that would be known.
I agree with that.
like before you actually start conceiving.
Are you open to having babies?
Because when you conceive, literally, I would say, when you conceive, you're supposed to go through the process. Like, for me, abortion is not an option unless there's really something, unless
preventing
you're losing
it.
both of you.
Oh, what?
No, like, unless there's something that's gonna say
Oh, that's
the mom
okay,
and the
okay,
kid.
okay.
So now we have to save some.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
because it can be two things: either abortion or the mom can go to term and maybe the kid saved.
Yes.
You know.
I actually found out yesterday that if there's a case where it's mom or baby, they save mom first. Unless they can't save mom, then they'll save baby. But they don't ask you.
Okay.
They don't ask you.
So it's not movie.
It's not the movie. Yeah, it doesn't happen like in the movies. Kinzo, you want to add something? Or you want to give her advice? She said, what should I do?
I don't know, maybe she just have to, what's the best for both of them, you know?
Is it the
Before
relationship?
even-
Right now, her boyfriend's making her pick. Relationship or child?
So if she chooses the child, she's going to be by her lonely,
Yeah.
but he's gonna help.
Yes.
Or no child, but they together.
Yes. Have you ever had to encounter a situation like that?
No, I haven't.
I would say she took the child. Like, I don't see
Why he would make her pick?
what.
Why he would be? You don't see why he should make. I
Yes,
don't even see
like
why he
if-
should make her pick if you're
No,
gonna help the child
she
anyway.
have to pick the child and bring the dad into
Hope.
the
Hope in the
The
long run
parenthood.
it's gonna bend.
if he's willing to help her, she have to bring him and like maybe he's scared.
Yeah. What do
So
you guys
she
think at
have
home?
to be like, okay, I'm gonna get that child, and you have to come inside the life of this child.
If this was your client, how would you answer her?
First of all, I don't believe in like two choices. I feel like we always have infinite choices, but I feel like from what she's telling me, there's already like underlying issues in the relationship. First
agree.
of all, so I would definitely recommend, you know, for her to either see like couple counseling with the person, or we can have a conversation together first. But I think that the fact that her partner that's supposed to love her is not not really like compassionate enough to kind of like understand what she's going through. I don't know if people know what an abortion is. Like, it's actually very traumatic. It's like a very it's a medical procedure. You know, a lot of people die from abortion complications. Like, it's you know, pregnancy, abortion. When we talk about maternity death, abortion is already included. Abortion and miscarriage are included in that. So it's like, I don't know.
Can you die from miscarriage?
Of course, yeah, for sure. Hemorrhage, infection, kind of the same things from birth. So yeah, I would definitely, you know, talk to her about that. And then also, you know, it's her body. So if she wants to keep the child and take responsibility, you know, for the child, it's also her choice. And then somebody that, you know, is talking to her like that, to me, is not a partner that, like a life partner, or they have a lot of things to work on, because it's yeah, it's very dismissive of like
it is the whole process.
Yeah,
it is.
exactly.
I agree with that. I do kind of like the, you know, maybe he's scared, like, you know, bring him, but then it puts pressure on the woman as well. That's the only thing, because now you have to be the bigger person.
And I would say, because you said something else, but I would say the fact, like you say, we say this situation should be at least thought priorly, because if you have that, if he's that scared, that means this is something that you will have like since day one.
Yeah.
That child will be like, you know, I love you, but I don't know about kids, or like she shouldn't be put in that situation.
Yes,
right
in the
after
first
being
place.
pregnant.
Yes, I agree with
Because
that.
at this point right now, and like, we can say whatever we want to the lady, but I think for me, the baby have priorities. Like in my head, right? Because if you put priorities to the guy, they're gonna be resentment. if you wanted to have kids. Like if you were pregnant and you decide, because you didn't decide
That's
to go
true.
abroad because you didn't want the kid.
Yeah, it's because
You
your
went to go
partner
abroad
didn't want.
because someone else didn't
Yeah.
want the kid.
That's true.
Like this is, I don't see how the relationship can go forward
Yeah.
if you do that action.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
I agree. Someone did answer her, and she said, "My fiance did the same thing to me." So it does seem like people do that. Right? My son is 34, and the best thing that ever happened to me, 5 years after his birth, I got married, and my husband adopted him. When people let you know who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
So that was what she said, responded to
Sick.
the woman, right?
Yeah.
Like that. We'll do one more question, and then I'll share a story with you guys. My wife is 36 weeks pregnant, and the doctor is demanding to perform a C-section. I want to know if my wife and my unborn baby are safe. Is this anything? Do you guys know anything about that?
No, but what?
Like the doctor's demanding, because she probably knows, but on a personal, if you go to hospital today and the doctor's demanding that your wife has to have a C-section,
Oh. But
what would be your first reaction?
why?
That's it.
That'll be my first question, because if you demand it, I mean, there must be a reason. And if the reason is actually threatening is a life-threatening situation, yeah, okay. But if it's not, I don't see why. Like, I don't see why we have to do something different because...
Yes, I like that. Do you want to add anything, kids, or should I?
Yeah, I think just if the doctor have a medical reason for it, yes. But if you're in your mind and your partner are ready to be like, no, we're going to do this like naturally, you have the right to choose yourself, your option first.
But now he's asking, are my wife and my unborn baby safe, and is it possible?
I don't
This
know.
is
I
36
don't have enough information. I don't know why the doctor wants to do a C-section. So there's not enough information. I mean, if she doesn't have a medical condition, like I would definitely tell the family, like, why, if you don't have a medical condition, like you don't have to have a C-section. You know what I mean?
Have you had to assist in C-sections?
I've had people that I've been to their birth and then it ended up being a C-section. I've had a couple people too that they already had a C-section previously, and the doctor absolutely wanted them to have another one, and they didn't want that. So we kind of had to kind of like work on the mental and like so that the person can say no and go through the birth that she wanted to have.
I have an aunt that has been through multiple C-sections. Actually.
Yeah.
It's difficult. She says the recuperation is difficult, but I do agree with what is the reason behind it. I know nowadays you can do planned C-sections, depending on, the situation. The doctor will be like, okay, let's plan your C-section. I don't know if like the woman can voluntarily say, I want a C-section and not do a natural birth.
I have a speculation, and it's something actually dark, because they said something. They said there's on the black market is selling placenta.
Yes, I've heard of that.
And because they sell placenta, when you go the C-section, when you do C-section, the placenta doesn't get ruined.
It's intact.
So there's a saying that's why the rise of C-section.
But I actually heard it was because doctors got sued in the past when women were going into distress, and so they made them do a natural, or the baby was going into distress, they would make them do a natural birth, and then the baby wouldn't make it, so they started doing C-sections to save themselves.
There's so many things.
Right?
So many things to talk about. The first thing that you said about the placenta, yeah, so there's definitely, it's a lot of cellules souches, like I don't remember the name. Stem cells. Stem cells, there's a lot of good things in there. Yeah, even more than that, they use it for like pharmaceutical, skincare, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely keep your placentas. Even if you just want to discard them eventually, but in our culture, it's a very sacred thing. Like you don't just like give it away, because it represents a relationship between the mother and the baby. So you have to kind of keep it as well. A lot of times we actually bury it under a tree, so you know, it's kind of like also recycling, kind of like thanking the earth for
giving you everything you need for your baby.
Exactly. After that, you talked about doctors being sued. So and then C-section rising. So the C-section rate is now very high. Is extremely high. Like we're getting close to 30%.
Oh yeah.
And you know, it was before, it used to be like 5%. But you know, once you medicalize a lot of things and you force women to do things, it also increases, you know, the C-section rates. Also the fact that a lot of things are automated, so you have like the heartbeat monitors that just installed and they just kept there. They have a lot of false positives of like baby being in distress or things like that. And there's less staff for you know, the same amount of women now.
That's true.
So all of that, you know, contributes to that. Also the fact that C-sections are way more expensive than a natural vaginal birth. So a C-section is a major operation, so you know, doctors can get paid anywhere between $30,000 to $35,000.
Oh, when I checked, I thought it was like $12,000. I saw $12,000.
No, it's a lot. And then you know, a vaginal birth for my clients that it depends on the hospital. For my clients that I follow that had to pay for their services, it's about between like $6,000-7,000. So you know,
it's a big difference.
So there's definitely that as well. So you know, everything is an industry. That's why people have to be like mentally aware that they're not just stepping into like a benevolent place, right? There's things that you need to know and protect yourself from.
Jeez, thank you for unwrapping that.
Can I add something?
Yes.
It's like in back home in Congo, we have a lot of problem with the C-section, and what you said about it's a major operation. It's like we don't have all the equipment to do C-section as in Canada or in Europe. So women are dying because they're doing C-section to women, and it's done like in the worst condition. So the rate is high. The mom and the family don't like put like how can I say, protect or be with the woman who's gonna get pregnant to tell her like do it like, because we have like tradition like in the village. Oh, this is the village. We now in the city, the C-section is like we're trying to protect the woman and stuff like that. But we have like bad hospitals. Like in Canada, I can tell that it's high. It's for the money, and you have more chance to survive that. But back home, they're trying to do stuff as in Canada, but they don't do it in the same conditions. So it's getting high on the C-section, and the moms and the children are dying because of the living condition. And you come in the hospital, if you don't have money, they don't take you right away. Your children is malnourished, you're malnourished. So
and I think even in traditionally in Africa, they did have their methods to do safe C-sections, but it was lost over time.
I don't think it was us actually. By the time that you know, Europeans were trying to do C-sections, they were failing miserably. Africans have been doing C-sections for years, and they actually, you know, went to Tanzania. They studied how they did it, and they brought back the methods to kind of like, first thing they didn't.
So in fact, Kenzo, for you, the hospitals are not using those traditional methods.
Because they're now, you know, doing what the modern people are telling them, but they don't have the equipment, you know. So when we talk about C-sections performed in Africa pre-colonial, you know, it was done with the methods that we had. So we used to, you know, sanitize with banana wine, and then we used to, you know, like cut like with a very sharp knife. We used to sterilize the knife with fire and all of that. And that's, you know, the things that they kind of brought up because they were doing it so badly in Europe. Like they didn't wash their hands. They were like, a lot of people were dying of infection and stuff. So I think we are, and that's the problem in all countries, I believe. It's like we take the modernization and we leave the humanity out. So a lot of our people are suffering in hospitals because they're being treated badly. Like not only because they don't have the equipment, just because the people there that are working they feel
Don't
like
have
they
their
can treat
interest,
them
yeah.
so badly, and that's one of the main things to birth. Like, you need to feel safe.
Yeah.
Because your body is not going to give birth to in a place that you don't feel safe. Why would your body give birth and you have a newborn in a place that's full of predators? It doesn't make sense. So a lot of people's births are going to get blocked because their body is like, I'm not giving birth here. And then if they want to do a bunch of operations, then they can try, right? But yeah, it's a lot of things that we definitely need to go back to our roots because, you know, traditionally, like, we give birth naturally. A lot of like natural methods of birth, and like our ancestors used to do that, like with the scarves, the massage. There's also, like, you know how like people use the ball and stuff, like we used to use like trunks, like tree trunks to like roll and stuff. So it's all things that are coming back that we already had. Same thing with taking care of the mother, like the first 40 weeks. That's something that, you know, is we have to do. Like, it's very important.
My mom told me about that.
Yeah, like wrapping your stomach, doing the steaming, like drinking the tea, and all of that is things that you have to do to heal, right? It's not just like, you know, you give birth and then 6 weeks later.
I actually find the process after giving birth more difficult than the pregnancy. The recuperation.
It is. It's so much like you're actually also, you as a person birthing, like you're also getting birthed as a mother, right? So you have to learn how to become a mother. And yeah, it's crazy because here it's like, yeah, you go to the doctor at 6 weeks and they're like, well, you can have sex now, good job. Like, it's so masculine. It's like, you're a woman, the only thing that we need to know is, can you have sex or not? Like, it's crazy. Like, the person is going through all of these changes that are not addressed, but like, we're clear to have sex, you know? It's just crazy. So we so we definitely need to refocus, like, and really include like feminine care, like in like postpartum. So that's what I actually do, all of the traditional stuff. So like baths and steaming and like massage and stuff. Yeah. So
I love it. Okay, go Leslie.
No, I would say you said something about the traditional that we lost because we got like the modernization. I felt when you were speaking that there's another stuff because we create job and not passion anymore.
Yes.
So like I want to heal people, so I'm gonna go to that field.
Like you're in service
like,
to people.
I want to make money, and that field give me the most.
Exactly.
So like the intention is different. That's why like, you know, when you go to the hospital, even here it's supposed to be like, you know, advanced medicine. When you go there, you're like, you have so much lack of like humanity. Like you're like, you feel like you're like a tissue that you need to pick up and drop in there.
Right.
And they come and like my experience like with the, like, let's say emergency was like, you go there, someone is in pain.
Sucks.
You ask him the level of pain. He tells you 9. And it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, right?
We're gonna give you the same thing. We give you Advil.
Yeah.
And after that, what I understand is like the reason why it's like that is because you need a doctor in emergency. He's the only one that will prescribe something different than whatever you get on a common pharmacy. So, but we don't have enough doctor working in the emergency. So that's why when you see there, you're like the triage.
Basically,
like,
if you walked into the emergency, they might not take you seriously. You have to come in an ambulance.
There's so many things like that. What you said, that's like, is crazy because, first of all, there's also the gatekeeping, right? So it's like you can't say like, oh, take this plant and it's gonna help. It's gonna heal, right? So that's gatekeeping, right? So it's only
we have to be
doctors,
careful with that on some of the episodes,
right? It's only doctors that can say they heal or they blah blah blah. So now you're gatekeeping. Same thing for midwives, right? Like before, it used to be midwives that do it, and then at one point they like made midwives illegal. Like if you help
in Quebec,
a woman
actually,
give
they're
birth,
petitioning to supervise midwives. So guys, go support the midwives in Quebec.
So it's like, can you imagine like if you, I think it's around the 50s or the 40s that they started doing that. It's like if you are a person that helped a woman give birth and you're not a doctor, you can go to jail. So it's like, it's a gatekeeping, and then we're gonna be like, well, there's not enough doctors to take care of everybody, but you guys are gatekeeping everything. Like a midwife can't help if she's not supervised by this or that. So there's also that, and it's
I know the graduation rate for midwives is really like, it's a small percentage. There's not a lot of midwives that are allowing
Yes.
to practice.
Yeah, and there's no private midwives here in Quebec either, so that's also something that sucks. Because in the States there's private midwives, so you can just get
Ontario's
your midwife.
better than Quebec, by the way, guys, for midwives.
Yeah. So yeah, there's so many things that you said that are, you know, true. But that's why, to me, one of my core messages is that, you know, we have to take responsibility for our health, and we can't just be like, oh, you know, the doctor is going to tell me what's wrong. No, like, it's your body, right? It's your body. Like, nobody knows your body more than you. And actually, your body is trying to communicate something to you most of the time, like when it comes up with symptoms.
Yeah.
So what is your body trying to tell you? And you can find that. You can do the work to actually figure that out. Yeah.
I love it. Discovery process. Don't get impatient with yourselves. Don't get frustrated. Just go through that self-discovery.
Yeah. I mean, not if you're like in 10 out of 10 pain. But, you know, but it's like, you know, you also have to make, you know, look at other things that you can find, other resources, other people that can help.
Most of them are kids, so
right.
It's difficult to. It's like when you say something like you know, pain and sickness and know your body. It's like when I was raised, like we barely took like meds.
Yeah,
like everything was something, some sort of potion, like something,
herbs,
something. And
essential
every
oils.
single thing I had, my mom came up with some kind of different potion.
Yeah.
And it was working because I'm still here. I guess.
You know what's funny, actually? When I make my potions, my mom's like, what are you doing? But whenever she's making her little stuff, she's like, take this. It's so regular for her. But when I do it, she's like, you're weird.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, it's true. Potions and little herbs and stuff.
Yeah.
You can find out what works for your body. It's like when we had the herbalist on as well, guys, and she told us different things that work. So yeah.
Everybody shouldn't be eating the same thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Like some stuff, it's not because it's unhealthy, it just doesn't work with
your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do one more story and we'll end there on advice that you have for people that are preparing to take on that journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll end it on it's a difficult journey but ends on a good note. Okay, so this is just more opinions. My pregnancy journey started after I found out in a grocery store bathroom over 3 hours away from home, with my friends and boyfriend standing outside. I was 18 years old and spent the whole trip in denial. I was terrified as I thought I was infertile. So the thought of getting pregnant never really crossed my mind. My boyfriend then, now husband, was absolutely excited that I was pregnant, so that's a plus. My parents were not happy, and calling home to tell them was traumatic. My father was so mad it took him a few days to be able to look at me, let alone talk to my boyfriend. I truly struggled for the first half of my pregnancy from all the pain I was in, to constantly contemplating getting an abortion. It put a toll on my mental and physical health. After finding out my daughter's gender only, then did things really start to settle my mind. I started to feel happy about being pregnant, and I was happy to watch her kick and feel her move around in my belly. I'm not sure what flipped in my mind, but suddenly everything was okay. I was ready to be a mom. I dealt a lot with a lot of backlash. Even after I was okay with being pregnant, there was pressure from the in-laws to abort, and later they offered to adopt. I couldn't and wouldn't go through with an abortion, but I truly felt like my life was over being 18 and pregnant. But that was not the case at all. The best part about my entire pregnancy was giving birth to my daughter. The contractions were horrendous, and my OBGYN postponed my labor so that he and his wife could go on a trip. I was in a hospital in labor for over 22 hours, but thanks to the epidural, things went pretty smoothly. The magical part of it all was that I had the pleasure of having 3 students in the room with me that they weren't originally supposed to be there, but I was able and excited that they were supportive, and I wouldn't have liked to have it any other way. Despite my hard journey through the pregnancy with my daughter, it was an absolute blessing, and I regret ever even contemplating an abortion. She talks and walks, and every day is a new adventure with her. All right, opinions. That's the story we're ending with before we go into advice. But opinions.
I don't know. I mean, our story's ended. It's beautiful. I don't know what to say.
Was there anything that stood out in there that you were like, okay, I want to comment on that?
I mean, yeah, pregnancy, actually, that's one thing that everybody should know. And that's what a lot of our culture, too. Like, you don't say you're pregnant. because you have to protect the baby's energy. You're not supposed to just share your pregnancy to everybody. Because you know it's very sensitive, and fear is actually it's like adrenaline and like cortisol. Like you can actually, being close to somebody that's scared and on fight or flight mode can actually make you scared, and then you can start secreting those same hormones. And those hormones are actually, they actually impact the baby directly. So that's why, you know, if you're stressed during your pregnancy, you have way more chances of developing like conditions like preeclampsia or having like premature labor or things like that.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so, you know, protect your pregnancies. If you, a lot of people like that I accompany, that, you know, they want to do home birth or birth center, and some people around them are just not supportive of that. And I'm just like, why are you telling them? Like, it's none of their business.
I was originally wanted to do a home birth, and my mom was like, you're crazy. But then I saw the birthing house, and it was really nice. So I'm like, okay, we're going to do it at the birthing house. And it was
So just don't talk about, if the person's not supportive, don't talk about it. And then just be more secretive about your birth and your plans and your visions, right? It's kind of like it's your personal and private thing, and you really have to protect it. So that's what I would say.
This goes back to the mindset that we were talking about earlier. That's why I wanted to tell you this story, because her mindset switched, and she went from a horrible pregnancy in the first half to, okay, this is okay. Actually, there's a human in there, and you know.
Oh, that's like, cause after she connected with the baby. So, yeah, that's what I had to say about the pregnancy part.
Now the doctor part.
I didn't understand what she meant. She delayed the labor.
Yeah, they said they delayed the labor. Can you delay the labor because they were going on a trip? Him and his wife were going on a trip?
I don't think so.
Is it that they kept her in the labor room? I'm not sure exactly what she meant by that as well, but I know if you take the epidural, that does delay the labor. I don't know if they were shooting her for epidural. I don't know exactly what was happening.
I mean, epidural can slow down labor. It definitely does. If you are going to take an epidural, I really encourage, you know, people to take it like once they're past 6 centimeters. Just because usually at 6, like, you know, your body's already kind of going. But, you know, if you are at 4 or lower than that, it can just be very long, like especially for a first labor. And then a lot of people don't know, like with the epidural you can't eat. So then if you're 24, 36 hour labor and you haven't eaten, and then
it takes the energy.
You need energy, right? The baby needs energy too, so it's a lot. So but I don't know what she meant by delaying the labor. I really don't know. Usually they try to rush labor. They try to make it go faster so they can go do their thing. But one thing I would say, everybody, like when you go to a hospital setting, they're so like everything has to be fast, and it really doesn't. Like labor just takes how long it takes. Pushing takes how long it takes. You know, I don't know what was your experience, but you know, birthing at home or like with midwives, it's very relaxed, and you take your time. But it's like in a hospital setting, it's like so. Sometimes I get so like emotional because they just stress the mother so much. Like go push. It's like you don't have to do all of that. Like
for me, they were really encouraging. Yes, the pain is intense, but like they had the lights off. My partner put the diffuser, so it was like kind of we're just chilling. It's not chilling because you have contractions, but it's chilling because the mood is set.
The
ambiance is good.
It's a big part of it.
And I know in hospitals usually have, if it's not at night, they have the lights on and stuff. And I heard that can also impact the labor. That it's better when the lights are.
Yeah, for sure. So it depends. In the hospital, if you're birthing in the hospital, you can turn off the lights. Like that's the first thing I do usually. I'm just like, okay, turn off the lights. Can bring
but
little
people
candles.
Might not know that, so
that's what I'm telling you. You can do whatever you want. You know, not whatever you want, but you can do a lot. Like take a lot of liberty and set the mood that you want. You know, like you can have essential oils. You can have some music. Like music is very good.
I had prepared music, but
you didn't
never had time to actually put it, because once I was there, I didn't think of anything else.
Yeah, that's good. So if you're feeling comfortable, that's the most important part. So you're feeling safe.
Yes.
So you know, try to set a mood that is gonna make you feel safe, and it's gonna help a lot of the process. And then what I said is like you want the same mood as like when you're doing it, because like it's the same thing, you know. It's like you're doing it, you get pregnant, You give birth, it's the same. It's
Same
a cycle. Like sometimes we separate things, but it's the
No,
same,
it's
and
the
that's
same,
why
yeah.
we say kissing and making
Yeah.
out. Like it's the same
Yeah.
kind of like energy. That's it's just the end.
I talk
of it.
about how babies like movement and stuff.
Right.
It's the same thing because it took movement to get them.
The same position that you're doing it, like that's the birth position. You know, you're on your fours. It's true. So, think of it like that. It's gonna be better.
Yes, I love that. Okay,
I don't know if that was too much for
it's
for the
perfect.
podcast.
It's perfect. Okay, last thoughts on how parents can prepare for this journey. People that are planning it or that just got pregnant. Do you have any advice?
Well, definitely take a consultation with a doula. Like most of us have free consults, and then for me personally, my goal with a free consult is to give you as much information to have the experience that you want. So if you want to have a natural birth, I'm going to tell you like everything I can for you to have a natural birth, like what not to do, what you should prepare. That's my goal. Some people are kind of more scared to go to the hospital, so I would give you information on that. Some people are like, I kind of want to, have a different experience, and I'm like, just go to the birth center. I think I'm like, go to the birth center, like that's it, and sometimes you don't know that, and if you go too late, there's no more space, right? So as soon as you know you're pregnant, right? As soon as you know you're pregnant, just get in touch with a doula. She's gonna be able to help you, at least guide you to where you're trying to go, even if you're not taking her services. And then
because I reached out, I didn't take the services, but I did reach out for information.
Exactly. So and then after that, you can do birth prep. So with a doula, again, it's good because it's personalized. You need to prepare your body as well. So make sure you're stretching and doing some exercise. That's also going to impact directly like how you live your birth. So if you have a lot of tension and blockages in your uterus area or your muscle, your ligaments around there.
I heard it's easier if you're stretching everything for the baby to go down.
Yeah, it gives a more space for the baby to go down and actually make it through the canal. If you have a lot of tightness, and it happens to a lot of people actually, it can make your labor longer or make it very difficult for the baby to go through. Especially if you're working from home and you're sitting the whole day. It's not a normal thing for us to be sitting that long, and then you have a baby that's growing, so all of that energy is like very tight in there. So you have to do stretching and certain exercises to help, and then work on your mindset. Embrace your power as a woman that's giving birth. You're not a victim of it. You're just a powerful being that God chose to bring life forth. So that's my advice.
Okay, last note. Where can we find you?
Okay, so you can find me at La Doula Rachel on everything: Facebook, Instagram.
Rachel,
YouTube.
Rachel.
Yeah, La Doula Rachel. And then I also give trainings for if you want to become a doula. So I do offer a training. So if you're interested in that, it's called Transmission Maternité. And it's a doula training program with mentorship and a beautiful community. So yeah.
Thank you. Is there any last thing you want to say before we end?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it was great having you. The discussion was awesome. Thank you, Brice. Thank you, Kinzo. We're going to end on that note. Remember, once again, guys, before we end, put in Bursting with Parenthood in the chat if you want the chance to win a doTERRA body wash. And so the next episode is going to be in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. So have a great Sunday, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.